Hi everyone, Ghostie here. Today I'll be talking a little bit about the deck as well as showing what my selected build is. It is really hard to build a novel deck as Kagero has received so much support over the years. Almost every single set is bringing a lot of new dragons and dragon men and everything. With so much support available, the choices are limitless. There are grade 3 choices, many alternatives. There are a lot of grade 2 and 1 choices. I'll be talking a lot about them, and basically, depending on how you want the deck to play out, you're gonna have to pick grade 1s and 2s to compensate, as well as a couple of 3s for some interesting gimmicks. I'll be talking a little bit about his strengths and weaknesses today, so let's get to it. Here's a deck. I picked up some random 2012 World Championship deck box. It was kind of funny. Anyways, here is the deck. Naturally, I picked Kai. He's my favorite characters in the series, so the sleeves are obviously going to be Kai, right? The starter choice for the novel deck right now is Conroe. Now that Conroe will be banned, I will be swapping to Red Pulse Draco Kid. Now, these two cards are not really comparable. Conroe guarantees consistency, or just searching any grade 1s you'd want, really. You could basically search a PG, you could search the important support cards for Nouvelle, which basically guarantees your grade 3s, or you can just search a good booster or a beater, a Vanguard booster, anything you'd want. So this card is pretty broken. So Conroe is ridiculously good, hence obviously he will be banned. He's the best starter in all of Vanguard right now, so yeah, he deserves the ban though. Him being lost, I will be playing Red Pulse Draco Kid instead to kind of compensate for the lack of consistency the death of Conroe brings. I will be playing Red Pulse Draco Kid because he can search grade 3s and 4s. Consistency for me is one of the most important parts, as the games where you are grade stuck are so frustrating. It is so frustrating, you can't do anything about it and you just plain lose. And in Vanguards that's like 10 to 15% of the game's minimum. Considering the amount of grade 3s I'll be running, I will have to pick Red Pulse Draco Kid. He's not bad either, so definitely a good choice to pick up. There is another grade 0 that when you retire a unit, you retire another unit. And this is the guy I'm talking about. When you retire one rearguard, you put this unit into soul and retire another. That is pretty cool, to be honest. It's not too bad of a rearguard, but I think I prefer consistency, so I will be playing the Red Pulse Draco Kid. For my grade 1 lineup, I am just like everyone else. I'm running 4 perfect cards, and Dragon Dancer Maria is the prettiest one, so you have to pick 4 of those. Now, but the PGs are incredibly important, so naturally I will be using them at maximum. I'm also running like the set's most important support card. I'm running the Nouvelleroman Dragon. This is the guy that got Conroe banned, so it's not a bad card at all. Basically, it makes sure that if you have a Nouvelle on hand, you can trade the Nouvelle for any grade 3 in the deck. I'll come back to this, but this lets you sort of take grade 3s the way you want, and you'll always be able to get the grade 3 you want. I'm also running 3 of the Dragon Monk Gojo. I'm running the Dragon Monk Gojo because I find myself clogged a bit with things like draw triggers, excessive amounts of grade 3 units, sometimes you're grade stuck. Basically, this guy can get your game going by trading dead cards for good cards. So I definitely recommend trying out Gojo and seeing if you like it. I love things that increases consistency. And I'm also running the Dragon Knight Ashgar. Dragon Knight Ashgar boosts Nouvelle to numbers that cannot be guarded with other things than PGs. You'd have to throw something like 4 cards or 5 cards, basically. So this one is a really good one. Definitely consider this card. While I picked these grade 1 units, there are others definitely worth mentioning. If you do not like that card swap, the Dragon Gojo, which has to be rested, which kind of loses your aggressive sort of teeth. You could run Irmo instead, which sort of adds pressure, and if you'd hit, you can card swap for free, without losing any power, so your early game will be slightly stronger. You could up Dragon Gojo to 4 if you love consistency, it's not terrible. You could run the Calamity Tower Wyvern. It's a really good card, and as Kagero is not using a whole lot of soul, unless you really aim for the Novelle's Persona Blast, Calamity Tower Wyvern really get your game going as well, especially if you're struggling early on with getting back row. Basically this is a free unit, you just drop it and you get another card, basically being able to fill your field faster, a higher chance of drawing into grade 3s if you'd be grade stack, anything, it's just, this guy works. Another grade 1 that is reasonably commonly used, it's the Embodiment of Armor bar, and it's the vanilla, and it just seems to work. It builds sort of good numbers. The vanilla is always good both on defense as well as bringing your 11k front rows into magical number 19k. 19k is not bad, not bad. It hits most rear guards in numbers that cannot be guarded against. Another card I'm trying to get to work in the deck is the Heat Nail Salamander. Basically you use it to snipe really good grade 1 rear guards. It adds a hideous amount of pressure. You just drop it behind either Vanguard or your other rear guards, and you force them to guard or they lose their really good rear guards. Things like Vanguard boosters are hard to find. You can nail those, for example, Palladiums are really annoying. You could snipe starters, you could snipe anything of value of grade 1 or lower. It's a really good card. So those are most of the grade 1s I'd recommend. Any of these cards actually do work with the Novelle deck in my opinion, but I aim for consistency and consistency in beating power. So kind of those two to just keep my game slowly flowing towards a game. For my grade 2 lineups, I'm still not finished unfortunately, but I will be running 4 of the Nouvellecritique Dragon. Nouvellecritique Dragon is an amazing card. Get a retire for 1 counterblast, with the only requirement actually being that it's placed, you have a counterblast available, and you just need a Novelle on hand. So it's a really cheap retire, and you can like retire anything, it's really good, like good back rows, good front rows, you could retire anything you need. It's just a solid card overall. Another card I like for my level 2 lineup is the Berserker Dragon. The Berserker Dragon is a pretty good card, it's the Blaster Blade clone, almost. You can choose to retire a grade 2 or less rear guard, basically getting rid of threats here as well and making sure you minus your opponent a little bit while grading up. I've started using this more as opposed to Novelle's Limit Break, as the Persona Limit Break from Novelle is kind of, well, it's kind of expensive to be honest, and it comes so late that it isn't always that useful. It is good, but it's not really good. And because of how counterblast heavy my deck has become with this one, and because of enabling it to actually get this one off, as well as my starter, as well as the Novelle's Limit Break, as well as adding pressure, that's why I'm adding my Bellicosity Dragon. These are supposed to be 4 Bellicosity Dragons. 4 because it's kind of a fake pressure. This is not vital to me, but if my opponent guard it, because he'll otherwise give me more counterblasts available, it's definitely a good option. I could run the 10k vanilla instead, but I think the Bellicosity is definitely a good card. Adding pressure, giving me counterblasts, giving me more retires, overall it's just really a good card, so I don't see why not. This feels kind of a solid grade 2 lineup with Nouvellecritique and Berserker Dragon and Bellicosity Dragon, though definitely worth mentioning is the Nehalem. It's a really good card, and sort of 10k vanillas they feel like they're kind of an anti-meta. You can usually guard those on hit skills with a 10k. As for my grade 3 lineup, I'm kind of torn in between two different ideas. One is quickly riding Nouvelle, while the other is just waiting for the limit break and going for a restanding Vanguard. The downside of that is that you do not get to use Nouvelle as much, and you don't get your defensive ride as quickly. So first up I have 2 of the Cruel Dragon. Cruel Dragon can be ridden on your second turn with a little bit of luck. If you draw the right cards, you'll be able to run this on your second turn. Really strong. It's a good card, and I like its effect. This one enables you to ride Nouvelle on your third turn if you want to. Pretty cool. Second up is Dauntless. Dauntless is my favorite card, but the downside with Dauntless is that your opponent often stalls you before limit break. It could be better just riding it to grade 4, both in defensive way and that your opponent cannot guard with zeros, basically pot-shotting easy damage. Restanding Nouvelle is really strong, and you go through your deck faster with Dauntless. You get to throw away bad cards and just draw new ones with your Twin Drive, as well as damaging your opponent badly, forcing them to guard twice, and they can only guard with PG, so they had to go through 2 PGs in one turn with this. So it can be good, but it's often better to just go straight to grade 4. So it's a hard choice, but because of Nouvelleroman Dragon, you're able to decide for yourself and swap your Nouvelle for any of these 2 rides, making it reasonably consistent to run 2 of each. For my grade 4 setup, I'm obviously running 4 Nouvelle. Some have gone down to 3 now that Conroe will be banned, but I'm currently running 4 and I think I might be still. It's a decent rearguard, but most of all it's a broken Vanguard. It is really good. It's strong like cross ride. It's like a silent tom and a truck. It can wipe the whole field so your opponent doesn't dare to commit. Basically it's overall just 2 strong cards. It doesn't even allow luck by removing the triggers when you hit them. So it's a broken card, face it. It's really broken, and it will dominate for a while. It's just that good. Now, Nouvelle is really good, but now that the ban is coming, I will be making a couple of changes. I will be making a couple of changes to counteract the inconsistency that is created by the death of Conroe. The grade 1 lineup will remain pretty much the same with 4 PGs, 4 of the Nouvelleroman Dragon. I'm gonna be running at least 3 of the card swap, and I'll probably be running 2 or 3 of these. Grade 2s will stay the same. 4 Nouvellecritics, 4 Unflippers, and 3 of the Blaster Blade clone. The cheater is banned and is swapped for something that is actually legit. My grade 3 lineup will probably consist of 1 to 2 Dauntless, and then at least 3 Cruel Dragon for Nouvelle. I'd love to make a deck with Heat Nails, and I'd love to also incorporate Stricken. I think these 2 cards have an incredibly interesting potential. It can kind of troll your opponent a little bit. It could definitely work. It's an interesting idea, but maybe just an interesting idea, not more. We'll see. As for the triggers of the set, I will be running 7 crits. I want the majority of my non-heals to be crits. I'll be running 5 draw triggers. The draw triggers have a dual purpose. I use these to retire nasty starters. It's a really good draw trigger, and it activates the Cruel Dragon's effect. It's also put into Soul, which synergizes well with, for example, Calamity Tower Wyvern, as well as Nouvelle Vague. Anyways, that is it for the deck profile. If you have any better ideas for the deck, or you have any questions regarding the deck, just please ask. I always take constructive criticism, and it's always good to get some other people's opinions on it. So until the next time I'll see you, I'll just be taking Nouvelle. I'll hit my opponent, and I hope they run out of PGs before I die. So yeah, wish me luck.